their wings.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special, I always say very special, and I mean it this time, though, narrative investigation. We're doing something really remarkable. It just came up today through a few documents that have emerged out of the Capital One case. And it's going to be a detailed exploration in how the Trump administration, at least the Trump family, have ties or could have ties going back quite a few years to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. You heard that right, the IRGC. I'm going to do this with our two very learned and smart and wonderful friends, Anthony Mitchell from Notes from the Front and Lev Parnas from Lev Remembers, also running for Congress this year. How are you guys?
Great.
Oh, doing great. Not that we're with you, Zev.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going deep here. This is a big one. But I read the story earlier and I was like, oh, what? Is this even possible? But it is. It's one of these incredible mistakes that the Trumps have made, but it's also one of these revealing things that have, concluded 9 years of a story that's been an open-ended story from a lot of people. It hasn't concluded it, but it's certainly asking the right questions. So let me take you back then to 9 years ago, because that's when this really all began. Of all the scandals and the alleged crimes surrounding the Trump family, and this is the whole family. This is Donald, Don, Eric, Ivanka, the whole lot of them are involved in this. When I was investigating
Ivanka was the leader, by the way. Just
she was.
At that time, she was in charge. Donald Jr. and Eric were like the puppies running around. At that time, Ivanka was the leader. Continues, F.
That's absolutely right. So I covered the story way back in 2017, and then this was the story. That's not the right one, but that's what we're doing today. But this is what I covered it as crimes of war, and this was July 2017, and the story was about what was going on in Baku, Azerbaijan, which is not really on everyone's map. Not everybody knows where Baku is. I'll tell you exactly where it is. Here's a map so you can see exactly where it is. There's Azerbaijan. There it is next to Armenia.
While you're showing it, I want to remind everybody, they were, if you remember, Armenia and Azerbaijan, they were in the White House. They're the two that Trump, that's one of the wars Trump supposedly stopped. So I just wanted to let you understand, and this all links together. It's a crazy story, folks. So I recommend, first of all, get your notepads out to make sure you take some notes, and then you're going to rewatch this several times, because this is really explosive, and there's a lot of connections going on, and a lot of years that are coming to a circle. But yeah, these are the two people that were in the White House. This is one of the wars and stuff. One was the prime minister of Armenia, and one was the president of Azerbaijan, Aliyev. Continues that.
Well, the thing that the story that I originally wrote about in 2017 was quite striking, because someone had published in the New Yorker, and we'll go into his reporting a little bit here in a bit, had published allegations that there was a link between Ivanka Trump and the Trump hotel they were building in Baku and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which to me sounded like that the Trumps were involved in supporting not only state sponsors of terrorism, but terrorist organizations themselves. And in that article, I called for an investigation, because I thought, how can you possibly have a president of the United States involved with the funders of Hezbollah or Hamas or any of these other organizations? But then the story just sort of sat there for many years. Now, Azerbaijan, as you can see in this map, is tucked neatly amongst these former Soviet republics that has been disbanded and become their own, national countries on their own. But it still really forms part of that whole Russian sphere of influence. So you've got it, a very important conduit to Iran for Russia, as conduit to Georgia and to Armenia, and as you've discussed,
Turkey.
That war. And of course, Turkey. Yeah, exactly.
Very big alliance with Turkey, which we'll talk about.
And you've been there, Lev. This is oil country.
I've been to.
This is lots of oil, black gold.
Black gold.
And not much else, really. I think that's the thing they make most of their money out of.
Well, Azerbaijan, basically their whole economy is based off the national oil gas company called SOCAR. And we'll go into it. I know one of the family owners that basically you will never believe what was connected. We're going to connect the dots later to the Ukrainian scandal and Crimea and all kinds of stuff. So continues.
You're like the 1 degree of separation from every story in the Trump universe, which is what I love
really is.
having you on. The New Yorker story that I was referring to was originally published in that same year, and it was about how this particular hotel, which I think was finished but never really opened, it might be open today. It was an ultra luxury Trump hotel, which is not really what you'd expect to see in Baku.
Go ahead.
Now,
go ahead.
maybe it is different these days. Maybe there's more money there now, and you might find these kind of luxurious, hotels. But Adam Davidson was the reporter at the New Yorker.
I'm really, really sorry, but this is a Trump property, and am I the only one who sees it?
No, we all see it. We all see it. We're just being respectful of it. It looks like that. Yeah.
Okay.
What I heard it, it's no longer Trump. The Ritz-Carlton bought it over.
Okay.
I think I heard, but go ahead.
Well, we all see it, and Ivanka Trump is the one who helped with the design of all of that. If that helps you understand some of this, here's Ivanka posting on Instagram. About her involvement. She was certainly not hiding it. She was,
2014. I remember 2000. Is it 2014? She made.
I'm not sure when this was snapped, but
she flew down 2014 while they were finishing up. They started the project. I think it was around 2012, if I remember correctly. But I remember that. And
the New Yorker article described a facilitation between the Trump organization, or an arrangement, let's call it, and Zia Mammadov, who's a corrupt Azerbaijani businessman, let's call him that, with deep ties to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Now, so you've got this guy, Mammadov, and you'll know a lot more about him than I would, Lev, but he was a conduit to the IRGC, and even though the hotel wasn't owned by Donald Trump and the Trump family, it was receiving all these license fees and all these other things that they got from all these hotels around the world. So the speculation that Davidson put out way back when in the New Yorker was that, there was money moving from Iranian terror efforts, from Iranian money laundering, from Iranian drug trafficking, Iranian nuclear arms trafficking through the Trump hotel in Azerbaijan and laundered into the Western world. That was what the New Yorker reported way back when. Now, they didn't report it with detail. They said it was a suspicion, and we still don't know to this day whether that happened. Fast forward to now, when you've got the Capital One decision just recently to debank the Trump family from their accounts. I think it was 300 plus accounts. And there's been lots of speculation as to why they would do something like that, and also why they didn't reveal the real reason behind. So Trump, in his infinite wisdom, decides to sue the bank to find out why they debanked him. And it turns out they debanked him because they had real suspicion that he was involved in nefarious or illegal money laundering, that, was a contravention of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and a whole bunch of other things. So that's where we take the story to now, because we have heard now from Capital One through their responses in the banks and in the courts, as to why they debanked Donald Trump in response to his question. And they've now asked for very specific documents from Donald Trump. And one of the documents that they really want to know about, and it's the first time we've seen any linking of the Baku hotel in front of a court by any bank or anything like that, they want to know about the money that transferred through the Baku hotel in Azerbaijan, which is the first time I've seen any sort of legitimate record out there that's not the New Yorker and other speculation that, that there is actual money laundering potentially going through this hotel that the Trumps built, and that's connected to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And, we can't ignore the fact that we're at war with Iran and that Iranian Revolutionary Guard as we speak. So there are lots of ties, lots of dots to connect here. And I am dying to hear what you both have to say. I don't even know where to start. But Lev, I'm going to give you first bash, and then I'm going to hear it from Anne, because she's got all the documents that are in the court case.
I was going to say, maybe let's start with Anne connecting, giving us some of the what she's uncovered through the documents, and then we'll go into some of the story time with Lev connecting the dots.
Let's do that.
Okay, Sure. Well, what I want to do is give everyone a quick overview of, just to sort of fill in some of the blanks there. So back in 2021, Capital One notified, March of 2021, Capital One notified Trump that they were going to debank his, absolutely right, more than 300 plus accounts, meaning they were closing his accounts. They gave him 3 months notice so that he could find somewhere else to go do his banking. And um, and so he sued, and he filed a complaint, and then he filed and Capital One filed a motion to dismiss. And so then Trump filed an amended complaint, and Capital One filed a second motion to dismiss. And then Trump filed a second amended complaint. And I have to say that at this point, covering all of these lawsuits with the administration, I am convinced that his lawyers are learning how to practice law on the job. It's like,
Same
wait a
lawyers,
minute.
by the way. In my case,
Right?
it's the same dude.
Yes. Well, Brito and Zev, it's always Brito. He's
Yeah, it's
like
always
all
Brito.
over
Yeah.
Capital One documents as well. And so,
Oh, so is Brito also the same? It's the same.
Yes.
It's
Same
Brito.
same
Oh.
old.
yes. And
Let me actually add something here that's important, though, and before we just
Yeah.
skip over it, is that the Capital One decision to debank the Trumps happened after the insurrection, happened after January the 6th. That is
Right.
the context that everyone needs to carry with them as you're thinking, well, why did Capital One? So that brief moment in time in America had a conscience and we still believed in rule of law, all that kind of stuff, is when Capital One decided to do these actions. And it's
That's
critical to people.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
that's actually part of, I was going to say that's part of Trump's lawsuit, is that
Yes.
he, up until January of 2017, they had no problem with him, he alleges. And so he's alleging that the debanking of these, of these accounts is political and has nothing to do with, nefarious activity. And so finally, just last week, Capital One filed their motion to dismiss the second amended complaint. And this time they came out with the guns blazing and basically said it was a very considered decision based on our AML, anti-money laundering investigations and practices. And they just came right out and said it. And the thing is that those memos from Capital One have been sealed by the court. So this had to be based on, what I know about the practice of law. This had to be them going right up against disclosing something that they weren't supposed to disclose. So we know that the memos that were sealed they have to have more in them than what Capital One said in this motion.
You don't debank anyone for everyday banking. You debank them for doing things that are not right, that are potentially illegal. I mean, especially 300
Yes.
accounts of former presidents of the United States. It's not something you just do because you woke up one day and decided. There would be
not
have to
even
be real.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying potentially because we're being careful, but I mean that's a very serious position and action for a bank to take. They have to have something that may not prove positively illegal activity, but it had to suggest to them that they needed to just divest themselves and be no part of whatever was going on.
And why they were quite certain about this is because they had something called Project Safeguard in place, which was a unique project inside their bank, which directly tracked all of Donald Trump's transactions over, I think, a 4-year period, a very significant 4-year period, I think, starting 2017 to 2021. So they weren't guessing here. They knew basically what this money was going for. And they had a weekly, I think, well, at least monthly meetings to discuss everything that was going through the Trump accounts. So
Yes.
this is not, a blogger. This is not someone who's a politician. This is a bank running really important weekly meetings, analysis on what Donald Trump was doing and spending his money on, and identifying all the sources, and then deciding that they needed to debank him.
And already knowing that he is a litigious SOB who was likely to come at them. So I am sure they have their ducks in order. And with that, I would like to have Lev take it away.
Oh, well, where do we begin, guys? So let's start with this Baku project. Today Zev gave me a call, said, Love, I've been working on the story. We work stories together, and said, and simultaneously, you can't make it up because I've been working with the Reuters on a similar story that links a lot of this together. We'll talk about a different time. But when he said Baku, I said, wait a second, Baku, I mean, there's a lot of things that brings me to Baku. Not only have I been there, but some of the oligarchs I was involved with that from Baku, from Azerbaijan and Turkey, and then I introduced them to Trump, and just things started spinning in my head. I said, "What's going on?" And then he told me. He said, that Anne came out with the transcripts. We got all of this information that links it all together. I said, Zev, definitely let me make some phone calls. So I made some phone calls, and I'm going to connect some dots for you folks and who these players are and what is taking place. So first of all, just so you understand, when I say you can't make it up, you can't make it up because the family. Okay, so let me start from the beginning. The family that the Trumps made the deal with is called Mamadov. There's an Anar Mamadov, a Zia Mamadov, and an Elta Mamadov. Now, Anar Mamadov is the son of Azerbaijani then transportation minister, because you understand all these projects, like the Sakar oil and everything, they're state project, they're state owned by state government, but also owned with private individuals that are connected to the government. So it's basically all the same camp if you connect the dots. Elton Mamadov is Zilia's brother, and then he was a member of the Azerbaijani parliament. Okay, together they owned a company called Garant Holding. It's family controlled, and it's also a wife Kanari there. So I'm just giving you the names that are playing there. Okay, one of their relatives happened to be, his name was, he can't make this up, Mumadov, what's his name? I'm slipping my head for a second. Where is he?
This is the prosecutor out of Ukraine?
Yes, Gunduz. So yeah. Gunduz Mumadov, at the time when we were looking into the Biden files, when I was in Ukraine, sent by Trump to go look into the, try to find dirt on the Bidens and basically manufacture it. At that time, one of the people helping us with it happened to be the ex-crime. He was currently, because Crimea was just taken over by Russia, so the Crimea had two general prosecutors, one from Ukraine, which was Mumadov, Ganduz Mumadov, and the other one was a Russian prosecutor. Now, this job was given to him because Sokar has huge relationships, and all of the gas stations around Ukraine are basically Sokar. So most of all of the gas that's being pumped in Ukraine and the gas stations are Sokar gas stations. So because of that, they gave Mamadov, they gave Gunduz the job of Attorney General of Crimea. To make the story even more interesting, this was the gentleman that brought the general prosecutor that came to give dirt on the Bidens to meet with Rudy Giuliani. He was part of the entourage that flew down to New York to meet up with me, Rudy Giuliani, to give us the first supposed, all this bank stuff that was going on. So, fast forwarded. Okay, now
can we stop you for a little bit? Because you're there in Ukraine trying to find all this dirt on Hunter Biden and company. You're working with a prosecutor who's, potentially not up on the up and up, and then meeting with somebody else who's then I'm going to cough. So can you explain some of that more, just while I cough a little bit here?
I'm sorry, I even got to you. Usually happens what you should see when they were, when I was talking to the oversight committee at some time, they did the same thing. They couldn't believe some of the stuff I would tell them.
Oh, poor Zev. Lev, can I just quickly say something about?
Go ahead.
I love that you were inside and now you're outside. That you are such an incredible asset, because the people who were once within the Trump, administrations or such. I mean, I've always said the best way to affect change is from within, or understanding within. So I just want to give you kudos for that.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
And I'll tell you honestly, literally right now, that as crazy it might seem, but all the people that were once in Trump's first administration, we were considered, and that's why I called my book "Shadow Diplomacy," because you had a real chief of staff, you had a real, lawyers, you had real, Secretary of State, and then you had Rudy Giuliani, me, the BLT team. You okay, Zev?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay,
I've got my water here. I feel
good.
better.
You
It
guys
might
nervous
happen
for a
again.
second. No, that's okay. Just
Just a cough.
stay there with us. Yeah. So back then it was a shadow diplomacy, but now if you fast forward it to 20, these are the people that are running our country. You guys, so
they're out in the open.
right? Yeah, Joe DiGenova, who was basically back then one of Trump's whispers in his ear, is this, the prosecutor here in Florida for the case that's going on with the whole Russian investigation.
Isn't that exactly what you were describing in Azerbaijan? I mean, you've got people who are politicians, exactly, who are also mobsters, who are basically running the show. They've got, their hand in the till on the one side, they've got their hand on policy on the other side, and this is what America is becoming. It's becoming like a carbon copy of Russia, all these republics around the Russian rim.
But there is always a line that they end up going over the line, and we're seeing that with Trump more and more, that they just, instead of going right up to the line, they go over it and cross it, and that's going to be their undoing.
Yeah, well, and they need to, because otherwise they can't stop halfway, because they're not real. Most of the thing is so fake, so they have to push it so quickly to be able to take over, because otherwise they can't make it. And that's why Trump's having problems, because America, we're not stupid. We might be trustworthy, we might be naive some ways, we might allow you, but at the end of the day, we see who you are, what it is. And I think as long as we stay unified enough through this next period of the next 90 days and don't kill ourselves. And one of the things that, which is part of Trump and MAGA, we spoke a little bit offline about this. We could talk about, not to go off track about today's subject, but it's, yes, I agree with you. We should do a separate show, but let me continue talking about it, because there's a lot of complicated things happening here. Let me connect some dots. So this, the way the relationship work, and this is where the IRGC comes in. Okay. So, and I took notes today because, folks, it's, a lot of different names when I was on the phone, and I had only an hour and a half to make sure I verified certain things, but this is incredible when you go. So the connection runs like this. So the Mamadovs, okay, did the deal with the Trumps, okay? The Mamadovs for the hotel. Okay, so the Mamadovs then separately from the Trumps, okay, were doing business with two groups. One was the Darvishi family, and the other one was the Azar Pasillo family, okay? Now, these groups are connected directly to the Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Corps. They're directly connected to the IRGC. Yeah. There are three brothers, which are Habil, Kamal, and Kuyamars, which are completely, basically part of the IRGC, from what I'm hearing, again, from what my sources told me. So I broke it out. Basically, Kamal was, I think he previously ran an NASR, which was basically the U.S. Diplomatic cable, actually alleged IRGC-controlled business involved in materials and technology relevant to ballistic missiles. So that was Kamal Davarshi. Kaymor ran Azir Pasillo, which was the other company. And Azir Pasillo basically was part of Revolutionary Guard's economic network. So now we're not talking about regular individuals. We're talking about deep, deep, deep ties to the IRGCC.
And it's really important, because let's just talk about Iran is made up of these corporations. I mean, they act like corporations, but they really belong to the government and to the IRGC, and they run almost every aspect of Iranian life. So these companies are not just companies and investment fronts and all these other things. They are the IRGC. And basically that's why in the original New Yorker article, they were alleging that the Trumps were basically laundering money for the IRGC through this family. And that stands up, I think, just because that's the way Iran works. Iran is that kind of place. So when you talk about the Trumps, up till I think 2021, we're saying, being involved with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, who we are currently at war with, it begins to answer, that begins to raise a lot of questions as how could that be? How could
I
that
have a
be that
little.
we are?
Wait, I have even a little bit, but just more
Yeah.
interesting information that I'd like maybe while we're talking about it, you could even verify. I tried to. I didn't have a chance to quickly verify, but what I was told, one of my sources told me, goes look into this. He goes the trail. He said to me that the Trumps received millions of dollars, right, for the deal, right. Basically, in around 2015. There was something that happened, he said, where the Trumps were told, and there was a big that there was the involvement by IRGC, and problematic entities in the deal. And the Trump's organization acknowledged it, supposedly, and then nevertheless remained in the deal until December of 2016. So in 2015, we need to look into, I'm being told that they acknowledged the Trump organization about about something to do with it, and then they continued, but left in 2016. So something to do like that. I'm not sure about
I
exactly
think
the timeline.
you should. There's one particular transaction that they're asking about in 2017 that very few of us can figure out what it is, and it might be. I don't know if your years are absolutely tight. Then in that case, it's not this, but something happened in 2017 that is raising all the alarm amongst the Trumps, and it's one of the things that they're asking about specifically.
I'll tell you what happened in 2017. Yeah. So in 2017, there was a request by Dianne Feinstein and others. This is what I looked into, and they formally went after the IRGC and Trump connections. In 2017, right. Trump's first administration, they went after it, and Trump basically shut it down. And it's never been answered, and it's been lingering, and that triggered, I think, what you're talking about is their inquiry. Their inquiry, I think, triggered what happened to you. But the Trumps already knew about it. And to what I'm being told that I don't think was reported is that they already knew in 2015 that there was irregularities, excuse me, irregularities, thank you, happening with the money, but they continued and stayed in the deal, which I think
this is an election year. This is the year they're running for office.
That's why, and this is why I say I think it's important to say you're 100% right. This is when the elections are happening and we're running, because remember, he never expected to win. Keep that in mind, because this was a year where it was more about business, so at these times he was running around trying to do what he's doing now on a much smaller level. Like, I mean,
remember when he was saying tear up the nuclear deal with Iran while he's having a deal with Iran? I mean, it's like, it's remarkable, the information. This is a real bombshell, and I hope people pay attention to it, because these days everything just flows by us. We don't spend enough time really digesting what it means, but we're at war with this country. This country is currently depleting all our ammunition. This country is, killing American service people in the Middle East and destroying our bases in the Middle East. And the Trump family has a history of being in business with them, and it's now verified that, not verified that they're in business together, but verified that the bank debanked them for suspicious activity. I mean, that to me is it's as big a scandal as you can imagine at times of war.
There are, and Lev alluded to some, you alluded to some, there are so many stones now all around that if you overturn them, you find something that can take him down, and he is terrified, and he's losing control because there are so many, and so many of them are coming to the surface in all of the different lawsuits. And so I am confident that this is one of the reasons that he keeps creating these distractions, because a lot of people are getting way too close for comfort to a whole lot of those stones and are about to turn them over.
It's amazing to me how comfortable he is with his corruption. Every single, I looked at him, he's just so proud of it. He's willing to talk to people
because he does it in your face, and that's
he does it in your face.
In your face, and even Johnson said it. And this is an interesting. If you listen to it, they asked Johnson one time. They said, like, you were so against Biden, but what about? Well, I'm sorry, Comey did, not Comey, Comer. They asked, and Comer said, well, the difference is, Biden hid it. Trump just does it, tells you he's transparent about it. So I'm like
transparency does not mean it's legal.
Illegal, correct.
It's just me.
So if I go tell you I'm going to go rob a bank,
Yeah.
That's okay. I could go rob a
Or
bank.
shoot someone on Fifth Avenue.
Or shoot someone on Fifth Avenue. It's incredible. You know what else
Today
is
he was calling it
amazing?
consulting fees. He was talking about a $2
Oh,
million
consulting
payment from the
fees.
Koreans, and he's writing it down as a consulting fee in his financial disclosures. I mean,
You know who uses words like that, consulting fees, and stuff like that? The mob,
the mob,
criminals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how
Yeah.
this is how those are words like, because this is how you gotta get paid, and you gotta write something.
Yeah.
We were always consultants back then. You know,
Yeah.
your consulting fees. It was like, but you know, the crazy part that also just had me thinking, I'm sorry, Zev, is
No, it's good. Keep it.
I didn't realize when I was watching, I forgot all about this. But when I was now going back and thinking to myself, when he had the president of Azerbaijan, Aliyev, sitting in the White House with the Armenian prime minister, talking about like he's ending the war, and I forgot about like pretending like this. It goes back with them going way, because Aliyev, this is all connected. All of these deals and all of this is owned by the same. If you take a look, it's all connected to the Mamada family. It's all the leadership, the country is controlled by that one family, all the oil, everything. So it's amazing to see like the pressure that's being put on. Now they have the roadway, the Donald Trump economic, or what's it, transit between
the road, and they
Armenia,
have a park or something, don't they?
or a park over there. It's you can, and the crazy part is like I just could sit there and see their faces, how they laugh at him because they throw him some money. And and the big story that we're also working about, I'm not going to say anything, but as I told you about the name, I'm just going to tell you guys, watch the space. Konstantin Sokolov. I'm just going to mention that name. I know you know that name, but I'm going to mention that name. Some big news coming out there having to do also with a lot of this connection. It's crazy stuff.
Let's spend a little time here just looking at this document. This is an Exhibit B, which I don't know if but it's one that really asks this question about this document, this question 15 or request number 15. But just looking through here, there's these TTT consulting, speak about consulting, and these LLCs. This is how the kids, Donald Jr., Eric, and Ivanka, got a lot of their payments through these consulting firms, which is just an interesting side note because we just spoke about consulting there. And then we go through all these requests, and there's a lot of requests, but the one we're really looking for, and I'm having a struggle seeing it here, but let me get to number 15. And this is the one about Baku.
Request
and I don't know
production.
if you can read it because I can't read it. Can either of you read that?
Yeah. Hold on.
Any documents?
Any documents related to reflecting the basis for wire transfers to any of the plaintiff's accountants in connection with the proposed construction of a hotel or a condominium tower in Baku, Azerbaijan, from counterparties located in the United Kingdom, using bank accounts in Estonia between January 1st, 2012. That's when I told you when the project started. And December 31st, 2015, when I told you they got, this is when exactly the dates I told you. 2015 is when they're irregularity, and now it makes sense. 2017 is when Feinstein looked into them. It triggered that this whole thing.
Now, this is just before he announces for his run for presidency, right? So he's getting this news. And the other interesting thing here, which triggered me, was when they talk about the bank accounts in Estonia. Immediately, I think about the Danske Bank and the Deutsche Bank money laundering scandal, where Russia, moved $10 billion out of Russia into the West using this mirror process, this mirror trading process that they did. It involved Estonian banks as well, and it makes me think about whether this whole thing might be tied into that same big scandal, which brings in Deutsche Bank and all these others. But we see the same players over and over again in the same institutions over and over again, and the same places over again. That's not coincidence. This is a map. This is a network map of everyone involved in the Trump, family business.
And if I could just add something to it, Zev, that I think, and this is why the work you do is specifically having to do with the Epstein connection to the Russian money, and now what we're talking about, seeing that they're not releasing any of the financials, and we've been talking about this, has a lot to do with a lot of this. Because this is a network going back in the 90s and the 2000s, and this was a network between. This is when the cabal was formulated, when the fall of the Soviet Union, when the oligarchy came out, when the partnership, and so yes, the pedophilia, the sex trafficking, and all of that, but the relationships and the international organized I mean, you can't call it
Power
anything else
grab.
but power grab. It was enormous, and that you're seeing, like Ann said, every rock you turn over, you're seeing something uncovered. Because right now, the one thing none of them expected was Donald Trump to get into office, because Donald Trump is exposing all of them by being Donald Trump. It's like I compared Donald Trump to John Gotti. John Gotti, for those of you that don't, in the mafia always likes to be quiet, never on TV. The Godfathers would never be seen. And John Gotti was a different type of Godfather. He would come out and he would be flamboyant. They called him the Teflon Don. Donald Trump imitating Don, because, most leaders stay behind. They do their thing. They talk. Donald Trump is more about talk, action. And that's why all of these people really so very similar. You're seeing the connection.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff you don't normally talk about. And here he is bragging about it. And when you see these requests, there's, no lawyer and no bank does a request like that, like the one we just showed you, of a former president, unless they're pretty certain about what they've got, right? I mean, they're not just asking because they're fishing.
It's not a fishing expedition. I actually haven't seen that discovery request, and I was looking for it because I thought I had seen it, but I don't have it. So in fact,
I pulled it off court listener, so I'll get it for you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. When I was had my litigation practice, I actually loved drafting discovery, which made me really sick, according to my colleagues. But I loved it because it's a real art in terms of whatever you ask for, they're going to try and wiggle out of it. And so the more precisely you can word a discovery request, such as what we're just seeing, the more they cannot wiggle out of it. And if they don't produce based on that request, you can take them to court to have it, it compelled. So,
find it again for us here.
I've actually seen some pretty bizarre discovery requests, so I'm not super surprised at these. But what I'm surprised at is what, reading between the lines, or even reading at the lines, they are revealing themselves.
Right. Because of this, they're not going there and we can't go there, but we can say this is as close to saying the Trump family is involved with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in some sort of money laundering effort leading up to the election in 2016 and potentially beyond. That is normally what would account for a giant international scandal. I mean, normally something like this, with this kind of evidence, would be tearing down governments around the world. It's not even being noticed so far. I mean, we're just reporting it maybe for the first time. We'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. But this is our enemy. This is our sworn enemy. No. And it's not going to pull him down. I mean, I guarantee you it won't. I mean, it'll just be another one of those things that everyone like shrugs about and says, hey, so what? The Trumps are involved with the Iranians. Big deal. So they're involved in supporting Hezbollah. So big deal.
And don't forget, the Russians knew about this prior to this. The Russians knew, their intelligence services knew all of this. So the fact that, and the way the Russians are aligned with Iran, the fact that Trump is, it reminds me of, when we talked about Ukraine and China, and we said, I remember saying this, I said, China's helping Russia enough to stay alive, but not enough to win. Now it's looking to same thing what Russia's doing here. It's basically allowing America to get involved in this war, but it's not allowing America to win the war, because you're even seeing that they're giving information. And because Russia, I mean, for people that don't understand, Iran is, if tomorrow Russia decided to cut off all ties, I mean, it would be a different war. And I mean, this is all intertwined between the power play Putin is pulling the strings in a lot of this part of the world, because Trump has zero knowledge. Anybody that had any knowledge or profession about that part of the world, Trump got rid of. All of these people that he has in there right now, especially Pete Hegseth, and they've never been to any part of these regions. They don't know anybody. These are, people that, have their thoughts off of television. And that is why you're seeing all of these things play out, because they're being played by master manipulators that have been in that part of the world and running that part of the world for over decades. In fact, let me try build on that, because I know you were involved in some of this stuff. Like this post-Soviet Russia was very heavily involved in luring people like Donald Trump into business deals in that part of the world, because that's how you compromise them. That's how you got in business with them. That's how you built their loyalty. So, when people say, Trump Russia's a hoax, it's not a hoax, because these guys were compromising and becoming, partners with
Trump on purpose. They were
and not just Trump. Don't forget Steve
and
Witkoff.
others.
Steve Witkoff at the
Leon
same
Black.
time. Leon Black. But Steve Witkoff, why is it important? Because Steve Witkoff right now is literally working for the Russians, telling about it to Trump.
And dying to get a word in here.
Well, I just want to say, when it comes to, where people even still are saying the Russia thing is a hoax, that, some people don't know my background in terms of tech and in the internet, but I'm very close friends with and a colleague with, and I used to work for one of the people who actually, way back, it seems so long ago now, connected all the dots and absolutely would testified, I believe, and I would stake my life for him, that the Russian servers were connecting to our servers. I mean, it is
100%.
irrefutable. So for anyone out there who can hear my voice and who thinks, well, was there any proof? There is 100% concrete, solid proof of that. So
there's volumes of proof. I mean, the fact that it's re-emerging now is kind of fascinating. And it's also fascinating that he released his own files, the FBI files, the other day. I don't know if you saw that. You're basically saying they suspected him of being an asset. Here's all this new information about the bank suspecting him of being involved with. It's just, you can't believe it. That all this stuff is being made known, and yet we're still stuck with him as potential, as the leader of this country. It's just mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling is beyond it. I mean, and it's not even him that we're seeing such a corrupt, basically a whole group of, a party. I mean, a whole party that basically lay down to him. I mean, you have Tom Tillis coming out saying, I mean, there's nothing we could do to control. Just think about that statement. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, every time I say it,
Cornyn, wasn't it Cornyn?
Oh, Cornyn. Was it Cornyn? Was it Tillis or Cornyn? Either one. It doesn't matter.
I think
it's either one of them. It might have been Cornyn. I apologize.
They're the same. They're fungible.
I mean, they basically, told him to write a letter. He wrote some kind of letter. Go sit down with the Epstein survivors. It was terrible. It's okay, but he sat down with you. What else? I mean, it's like, come on, people, what are we doing? And he says, well, what do you want us to do? We can't control it. I mean, really?
It's your job to control the president. I mean, that's the point behind Congress. Your point is oversight. The point is to protect the people.
Vote them all out.
Yeah,
exactly. Vote them all out. But what were you saying is 100% right. In that type of that time, there was a lot of connection between, and this is how they compromised people like Trump, Witkoff, and that's most of. If you take a look, literally right now, of a lot of the players that are in wine, you'll take them back to the 90s and 2000s. All of them will connect their businesses, their interactions. You will see that most of the people right now are that are involved in all of these money, from crypto to anything else, are primarily connected to overseas transactions going back to 90s, 2000. It's even the oligarchy, the Elon Musk, the Peter Thiels, their relationships with Russia. I mean, most of their companies were funded by Russian oligarchy and China. Right. So what I'm saying to you is all of this, it was all intertwined. That was Putin's whole game, is to intertwine his money and oligarchy around the world. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And Lev, Zev, you have found a lot of these connections in tests, right? And Lev, I still want to make sure that your people have access to tests. Sorry to talk about administrative stuff.
I haven't actually run this through tests yet, but certainly all the other stuff that I've been reporting recently about Zampoli and there are various other stories. So many in my head right now. It's all one big soup. But tests is a remarkable resource and very, very helpful. I'm actually really interested in seeing if we can put the Capital One, as much as we can, documents in there so we can start cross-referencing.
I was just talking with
discovering here
today.
with Epstein.
About that. Yeah,
that'd be great.
That would be great. I agree with you.
Just to finish your thought there, you want Lev's, when you say Lev's people, I'm not sure what you're referring to. He's a voluminous staff. He's got, I don't know.
No, we have a lot of people. He's
got at least one person, right? I mean, I get it. I don't have any either, but I mean, I know you don't have the time and bandwidth to dig into tests to do this kind of investigating.
That's why, thank God.
But you must know someone. So,
Aaron, definitely.
Aaron should be using tests.
Yeah, Aaron should be. Yeah. Everyone should. I mean, if you're a journalist, you should be using it.
Maybe he
or
is. Who knows? I'm
he's
sure.
not. I know he's not. But
He's not.
yeah,
Oh, so I
no,
will.
because we still aren't connected, and so I haven't
Oh,
been
well, I gotta
able to
connect
get
you.
him in there.
Well, Zev's gonna connect you to me, and I'm gonna connect you to her, and we're gonna play
Okay.
connect the dots. So
There we go.
we'll do all of that because we need, and that's one of the things we all need to unify everybody. I'm telling everybody, stop the craziness, unify one message, support each other right now,
Yes.
and go
Yes.
out there. We gotta get, because look at the craziness we're dealing with. I mean, think about this, and it didn't start here, folks. And think about, like, some of the stuff. I want to talk about, if I may, Zev, for a second. Like, a lot of people don't even realize in Trump's first administration, a lot of these people that are doing business with him basically were set up through a group of people, lobbyists. One was Brian Ballard, which I always talk about, which I worked for, which comes Susie Wiles and Pam Bondi, that whole organization. But there's another one called Jeff Miller. Jeff Miller comes from Texas. He was an oil and gas guy, and these guys basically are like the link between everything you're seeing play out and how everything is formulated. It reminded me, and I sent you a video and some pictures.
Yeah.
It reminded me. So I'll tell you a little story time with Lev for a second. So back into when Trump just won his in 2017, he won his election. We flew back, and there was a big event happening. The first Republican spring, I think it was a spring or whatever, I don't remember, convention, and we were going to have it at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump was going to be there. It's this big event. Ballard was involved in this whole thing, and I'll never forget, because at the time I was down here, and I was basically babysitting an oligarch from Russia.
You're the fixer. You're the fixer and entertainer.
I was entertainer. He was here actually with his wife, because getting it's crazy, because it was his girlfriend that was here to give birth to get American baby. You can't make this stuff up. So they came here on their boat. The boat was the Luna. The Luna was the biggest boat at that time, like 400 something feet. It was bought originally by the oligarch Abramovich. Then he bought it. So Farhad Akhmedov, this gentleman, comes from Azerbaijan. He's from Baku. He is very well connected to that world. And it brought me back, because when Zev said, take a look at it, I said, wait a second. This whole link between Trump world and connects even deeper, because going back to 2017, when I was babysitting Farhad, and I introduced him to Brian Ballard on his boat at the time. And one of the things that came out of that meeting is we decided that, we should have a meeting between me, him, Trump. And at the time, you can't make this up. At the time, he was just nominated the head of the RNC, Steve Wynn.
Steve Wynn. Yeah.
And if you want to show some of the video and the pictures, so first of all, you gotta understand, before you. Yeah. So this is Farhad, Steve Wynn, and myself. So just so you understand, to get into this event and see, we're behind the stage. This is Trump was just finished speaking, and we were behind the stage. We were about to go. But to get into this event, you had to fill out Secret Service documentation, because he was already the president, and you were going to be standing right next to him. So it wasn't just a regular VIP pass or some event where you were going to. You had to go. So he was Farhad Akhmedov, when we filled out this paperwork and gave his citizenship, what Trump didn't realize is Trump just put out the sanctions list when he got into office, and he sanctioned 100 Russians, and he was number 4 on the sanctions list as being number 4 to Vladimir Putin. So when I said that to Brian said, "All right, we could fix that." So we hand wrote. So go ahead, play that. So here we are inside, and you'll see his ID and everything.
Okay.
Here we are with.
What does he say there? Did you detest him?
We gotta look at it, because some of the stuff
I have clean that audio.
I'm gonna clean it up because I'm telling you, I want to hear something he's saying about the Republic. Something we were talking about, something, because I remember we got into a very conversation about that part of the world and Turkey, because back then Turkey, they had our what's it called, that pastor that Turkey had at the time that we were trying to release.
Right.
There's a lot going on, so it'd be interesting to get.
So this
I have
isn't the
more
yacht,
tapes.
though.
This is one of the tapes. This is not on the yacht. I have pictures.
No.
We'll do a part 2. I'll send you. So I just sent you what I could quickly, but
I want to
have
see what it's like
pictures
on that yacht. It sounds fun.
Oh, it was just. I mean, I've been around a lot of places, but that yacht, I mean, at that time, now there's even bigger ones, but at that time, him and Steve Wynn were comparing, because Steve Wynn just bought his brand new yacht, was 300 and something feet, and Akhmedov's was close to 400 feet, and I mean, it was just him, his girlfriend, and his son, and they had 87 people crew that took care of them. Just so you have an understanding what type of what's it called. It cost him to run that ship. It cost him almost $100 million a year, just to.
And we're so lucky to have someone like Lev Parnas hang out with us. Look at him; he's gone from like Steve Wynn, like these big, well-known figures. Now he's slumming it with us here. Is that Michael Cohen in the background there?
No,
by the
way. Oh, actually, that looks like Michael Cohen, right? No,
I think it might be Michael Cohen.
I would play that. I would be curious. I would love to see it. I think that is Michael Cohen.
It looks like, that's Michael Cohen for sure.
I think that is Michael Cohen trying to get in with our conversation. That might be. As you can see, he was still on the outskirts back then. He was trying to get
Well, he's trying to do the Trump Tower deal at the time, if I'm not mistaken. At
the time he was running around. Holy shit, that's great. I have so much videos. One day that's when we have.
You really should do something with it. It's an archive.
We'll go through it, and we have to clean it up and listen through it and stuff like that, because
make sure that you have offshore backups.
Yes, we definitely. Yeah. Well, you know what I did? The first thing I did when we were able to unlock my phones is I made several copies, and all over the world I have a copy. My lawyer has one in a couple of safes I got. So this way, that's why I feel a little safer after I did that, because So I definitely did that. Yeah.
We should wrap it up, but I should say thank you very much to both of you for being here tonight, because you have this is short notice. You've all pulled your notes together. You just happen to be doing the same Capital One story on your own, and which is so fantastic, because this whole stuff about the Project Safeguard and all of that came out of your documents, and it's so great to have two great minds like yours and just immediately be able to put together your thoughts and help fill in the pieces of this narrative, which is a remarkable narrative. Because just to recap for everybody, we are talking about the President of the United States and his family potentially being in business with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the sponsors of terrorism groups around the world like Hezbollah and Hamas, and involved in illegal activity with them. I mean, potentially money laundering that's through this hotel, involving drug money, involving human trafficking, involving nuclear trafficking, that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard was doing, possibly funneled through the Trump organization, or at least through the Trump Hotel in Baku, to the West. That is beyond significant, considering who we're at war with today. So
I think we're going to do I think we're going to do a follow-up on this also, because I still have some calls in, and we still have some things. I think it's very interesting. We need to look in 2015 and see what, as my source says, if the Trump organization who did make that statement, what was the accusations? Were they aware? Was it already? Were they linked to the IRGC in 2015 and still continued with while he was running for president? So we still have some more questions that we're going to answer you, but I think this is a huge story, because I think they're compared to combined with some parallel stories that I know you're working on, Zev. We're working together. I know I'm working on separately also with and together also, Ann and others that are going to come together. I mean, this is not coincidence. This is all that part of the world. There's only a small fraction of people that are able to do these type of things. As far as the bank accounts, the companies, the names, those are all, you could put different names, but the people that are pulling the strings, there's only a few people that could pull strings in that world. And one of them, the major one, is Vladimir Putin. And that's why I tell everybody to, we were talking about Azerbaijan right here, but don't forget who was sitting in where he was, the president of Azerbaijan, sitting in Trump's, cabinet, wearing a 2028 hat, talking about making peace, and all of this would not be done without one person. Vladimir Putin, because what's happening, and that is why he's being allowed to do what he's doing in Ukraine, and that is what being allowed. And also, the thing that a lot of people are not connecting, but we have, and we will continue, and there's more, is the relationship with Vladimir Putin with Bibi Netanyahu. And that is another thing that is verily because the oligarchy that is connected to Bibi Netanyahu is part of the same oligarchy that's connected to some of the same players. It's all the same group. They're all in the same. That's why
they're all in the loop.
Yeah, and part of, because folks, I was part of the inside that group, so I'm telling you now that somebody just read stories on them. The way it works is there's an inner circle. And that inner circle makes a web of so many companies, so many different people, so much to confuse, to distract. It's called a spider web for the authorities not to be able to get to the boss, not to. It's called, follow the lead, and it was came up back in the days from a very powerful Russian mobster, Marat Balagula, who he was a mathematician, and he came out with the Ponzi scheme with the tax scam that they stole billions of dollars going back by setting up these fake names and corporations, Cyprus, offshore, and make it so that now they're so fascinating that it's almost, so don't concentrate on the names, don't concentrate on all of these. They're concentrate on the most important thing. Who are the people that are actually pulling the strings? Who are the people responsible? And there was the same names. Vladimir Putin comes to, President Xi from China, and Donald Trump right now, who's in the mix that is being used. And the other one on the sideline,
Israelis.
And the Israelis. I was going to say Bibi. The Iranians are more are following the lead of right now of the Russians, I would say. Again, everybody has their own power, but from what I'm hearing from my sources, the relationship there between China, Russia, and Iran is very, very tight, and that's why Trump can't do nothing about it. And they got him into the club because he would have to go against everybody. And China said no, Russia said no, and that's why right now, basically today, I think you reported on the 5-stack that if I'm correct, Zev, you and Dean were talking about how there was a deal done between Iran and Jordan or something.
Yeah, Oman. The deal.
Oman, basically
rental deal for a 60-day rental deal. For
basically allowed everybody except America and Israel. just think about that.
But it's all theater. I think. The more I'm looking at all of this, I think these guys are all doing theater production here. Lev Parnas from Lev Remembers and a candidate for Congress. How can people find you, and where can they support you?
Please go Lev Remembers here on our Substack. This is our home. This is where I will always bring you the inside report, and I have a lot of things planned to give you guys content galore about that. I'm still going through my voluminous amount of stuff. And for Congress, you could follow me at voteforlev.org, voteforlev.org, and that Lev for Congress. I'm sorry, I don't even know.
Lev for Congress. Yes, I was about to say.
Thank you, Zev. I was going to say I'm already levforcongress.org, and you can follow me there. You can support me, and we're going to start really hitting that campaign hard in the next week or so. So
the information you're providing is so valuable. It's just incredible to have your inside knowledge of how the things work, and all the players is really, really valuable, as is yours and your incredible resource for everyone in terms of the legal documents that you keep providing every single day. I am glued to your notes from the front because there's always a document that I need, and that's why everyone should be subscribing to both yours and Lev Parnas's incredible Substacks. What do you have right now, Anne, on your site? Because you got lots on Capital One, but there was something else you had just.
Oh my gosh, I had the Capital One.
New Mexico
I had the BBC. The New Mexico thing. Yeah, I mean that is huge, and I usually don't talk that much about it because I know other people really cover it. But this was a lawsuit. I have the documents. The New Mexico DOJ just sued yesterday the DOJ, and Todd Blanche. And it's that's there on my site at annpmitchell.substack.com. And I just want to thank all of my followers and your guys' followers. But my followers, if you are not following Zev and Lev, please do, because you are missing out. The three of us together it's like we're the whole ball of wax. We each have our own separate lanes, but together because they're adjacent. And that's why I love Zev. Thank you so much for having me, because it's just wonderful being here between the two of you.
Yeah. So much incredible information actually in this report, and I hope people share this with everybody. And don't forget to call your Congress people. Don't forget to ask these questions tomorrow. Don't forget about this broadcast, because it's a big story. Just because we're doing it first. You may not have heard about it, but this is news. This is really big news, and it should be big news. And if it isn't, there's a reason for that as well. Thank you both for being here on Narrative Live tonight, and thank you at home for being here as well. We'll see you again soon. This badass, what is badass? I missed the copy.
Here.
This badass has a law degree. Yes, she has.
Like this?
And I'll be thankful for that.